and Jay on the other side of the glass coming up at 3:45. Simone trying to ruin everybody's holiday weekend, but joining us now on the Folsom Lake Honda Hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. ESPN front office analyst Bobby Marks. Bobby, how are you this afternoon, man?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
How many steps from where they were towards a championship would you say the Sacramento Kings made in 1 year?
Oh man, I mean, I thought just getting into the play-in this year would have been a success.
Sure.
Right? I thought that would have been step one. It feels like they skipped it and they didn't have to kind of give up the farm to do it here. And yeah, I mean, I think you see where Denver is right now, and that's certainly the gold standard. And I don't think there's any reason why this roster can't be there, whether it be next year or a year after that. And then after that, it's a Western Conference that's got a lot of parity, that's really wide open. So yeah, they made a tremendous amount of steps as far as I thought. Just the goal was to get in the play and get that taste of playing meaningful games here. But when you go to a 7-game series and you're up, 2-0 in that series, to put yourself in that position. And now the hard part is, right now, this is the hard part, when you are kind of a targeted team and you're not going to sneak up on, and everybody's going to want to know kind of what's next here, and getting to the first round probably isn't going to be acceptable next year.
Bobby, I remember you once interviewed for the assistant GM job here. I think I was with Vlade, if I'm not mistaken. And I was looking at your Kings preview on YouTube from a year ago, and you had said it was the most challenging of all the previews because of how, volatile the situation appeared. So obviously the picture a lot brighter here. Looking forward this year, how important is it for the Kings if they want to get anything accomplished this offseason? How important is it to find someone who's going to take Rashawn Holmes' contract off their hands?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where, he's got, a couple of years left on his deal. It's not a bad number. It's kind of really where the non-tax mid-level numbers is going to come in here. So I think he's, certainly, it's not like you've got a, salary dump and attach a lot of things to it. I think that's, the number that, a player doesn't fit in based on a lot of different circumstances that's what's going on there. So I don't think it's a challenge. There's a ton of teams with room, a ton of teams that can, look for a guy, guy that, 2 for $24, 2 for $25 million, on his deal, better than probably maybe what could be out there in free agency here. So yeah, I don't see that as much of a challenge here. I think I was satisfied or was happy I didn't have to write about looking for another coach this offseason here. I don't think we have to worry about that with Mike, and certainly Monty and Wes have done a really good job kind of putting some roster stability. They kind of addressed the needs last year with Herter and then eventually Monk in free agency. And of course, the focus now is what do you do with Harrison, and Trey Lyles is important. I would think, certainly, gave you a lot of good minutes coming off your bench. The Sabonis situation, I think, will eventually figure out itself, probably likely next offseason, just based on, where his extension number could be here. But I think it's more of kind of tweaking, and certainly when you got a bunch of picks in the draft, then I think you could still find some good value with that first rounder, even though it's in the 20s here. It's not like, it's not like you're looking at major overhauls like you've been looking at the prior, few years.
Talking with Bobby Marks, ESPN front office analyst here on Cattles and Ramie. Obviously, a lot of this comes down to money, but as the Kings try and build on this foundation that they have and around this core that they have, there's perception plays a part and plays a role in where guys want to go and play, Bobby. And if they can win there, the facilities, the coach, a good work atmosphere, how much has the image, the perception of the Kings changed around the NBA and with players and prospective free agents, do you think?
I would say that Sacramento won't have any trouble having guys come in for draft workouts like they've had in the past. And I know they're picking in the 20s, and it's a lot different than picking at 4 and 5 here. And that was always the big thing. Like, nobody wanted to go to Sacramento and work out. And I don't think you have to worry about that. I think, yeah, it's, this big market destination thing, I think it's certainly overblown. I think I look, and I didn't even really write about it. Their medical staff, basically keeping this team on the court healthy. Yep. I mean, I think they missed the fewest games there. So that's a place that you're going to be taken care of, for, on the court, off the court here. I think, hey, we know Mike's going to be here for a long time. I think that's all players want. The players don't want to go to situations where you're going to be changing coach 2 years from now here. And I think how the league is set up here with this new collective bargaining agreement coming in, there's going to be more parity than we probably saw this year here. So, there's no reason why it can't be a destination spot. As long as you win and you have a tremendous fan base, and this fan base has been through this behind them forever, through bad and good, and we saw this year what an advantage it was here. Players want to play for that. You can go live in Miami during the summer if you don't want to live in Northern California in June, July, and in August here. And so I think it is a destination spot just based on when you win games, players want to go there.
Bobby, yesterday we had Jerry Reynolds on, the former Kings GM, and we were just, we're not suggesting there's anything to this, but we were throwing around the possibility of a guy like Vezenkov. If he comes in, he's an asset. Maybe you package him with something, and maybe you could move him if if he's amenable to that. What are the challenges of bringing a guy like that in, and what kind of value as an asset does he have around the league right now?
Huge, because it's a little bit different, certainly from a free agent perspective, as far as a guy coming in, and then you certainly have him on either a controllable contract, especially how some of these exceptions are going to work in the CBA, or maybe you use some of your non-taxman level. You can go out and do that here, and it's got a lot of tremendous value. I mean, it's basically an additional draft pick, and it's a guy that's got ton of experience that can come in, I think, and can play for you right now. Or if you're, as you said, if you're looking to flip him for something else, if that's what Sacramento wants to do.
We're looking at the NBA Finals on the horizon. You look at the Heat, the Celtics, and homegrown talent or talent found in unlikely places. You look at the Nuggets, and they're not the super team that we've seen before. And you hear chatter of, is this the end of the super team? I, for one, Bobby, think that star power will always be alluring to NBA franchises, and if you can put 2 or 3 stars together, then you'll do it. Do you think there's going to be any change in philosophy based on who's made these deep playoff runs and how they've gotten to where they've gotten?
I think it's the end of the super teams as far as going out and going all in and trying to get 3 main guys. I think you could build it organically, and Denver has, with Jokic and Murray and Porter. Those 3 guys are on max contract. Jokic's supermax starts next year. You can go about doing that. I just think the day and age of what we saw maybe with Brooklyn, with Harden going all in, some of those, probably even Minnesota with Gobert going all in there, when you're really, giving up 4 first-round picks, even with Durant and Brooklyn and Phoenix here, that presents a challenge when you're going to build your roster out. But there's nothing to say that, you can build it with, 2 or 3 guys if you draft really well. And that's what Denver has done. They've drafted really well. Similar, Boston's drafted really well. Miami's a little bit different because a lot of those guys are undrafted players, but you still have Adebayo, and you've got Butler, and Hero hasn't played here. So it's a different philosophy here. But I do think the day and age of, going all in, trading 4 first-round picks for that disgruntled superstar is over. Unless you have your roster is filled with players making less than $15-20 million.
Bobby, I wanted to circle back, if I may, to something you said just a little earlier in the conversation, talking about Sabonis. Obviously, there's a lot of uncertainty over his future with the Kings, but you said you thought it would work itself out. It sounds like you don't think the Kings nor Kings fans should be anxious at this point about Sabonis sticking around in Sacramento.
I don't think so, and it's probably more of a business type decision here. He's extension eligible here. I would have loved to see the rules changed, where we get rid of he can extend for 140% off his current deal. I would have loved to see him do away with that and basically say you can extend off whatever the percentage of salary cap for him would be up to 30% here, and that would give teams more the ability to retain their players here. And I think what Sabonis is facing is similar to what we saw with Zach LaVine in Chicago a few years ago. Guys who signed what was perceived now, I guess, as team-friendly rookie extensions has outplayed them. And now you're basically capped on what you can sign him for in the next deal. And yes, you can renegotiate his contract with cap space here, but that costs you probably cost you Harrison Barnes to go out and do it here. So there's nothing wrong with guys playing out on an expiring contract, which Sabonis would be on. And I know there's that unknown when he goes into free agent in 2024. But I always say you always have the ability to in-house recruit them. That's the beauty of it, is that you have that player there for multiple years.
That is Bobby Marks, ESPN NBA front office insider, and our guest for the last few minutes here on Cattles and Ramie. Appreciate the time and the insight, Bobby. Let's do it again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
And he joins us on the Folsom Lake Honda hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. Said Sacramento is a destination, Whitey. I thought that was notable from our conversation with Bobby Marks.
Yeah, night and day from just a year ago.
Yeah,
night and day.
That's crazy.
Sacramento